Yeah. Yeah. Hi. Hello, world. We're back. Beers with Max. It is. I'm walking. For those of you following along in the saga of breaking your foot playing ping pong, I am walking in the boot. I've decided to stay off the booze, maybe for another couple weeks until I can wear shoes. That's the new policy. No booze. No shoes. No booze. What do you think of that, Adam? Is that a good
I'm
policy?
just amazed that you were able to get your foot that high up during a ping pong game. That's all.
Well, I didn't break it on the table.
Oh, but but
See,
you
that's a
could you
popular
do the backspin with
misconception.
your foot?
That's a popular misconception. I did not break it on the table. It was in fact on the ground. No, I was just giving it 110%, like I do everything in life, and I should have capped it at 105. That's that was the issue, and so it's been a lot of waiting, a lot of patience, a lot of coffee. Cheers to that. You drinking anything today?
I finished my first coffee, and usually I try to stick with that, or else I get my second wind at 11 o'clock at night, and that's not cool.
Yeah, yeah. Later in the day, do you enjoy a beer or a cocktail? What's your poison?
I enjoy a prebiotic soda, to be honest. Usually, I'm like a
Nice.
poppy dude. I've got enough extra meat on my body that I try to keep the calories down and just go that direction.
Yeah, look, and good for you. It's literally poison. That's what they say. It's poison, so it's not good. I'll be joining you at some point, and congratulations for that. So we're here to talk about agency world. You've been in the game for 18-ish years. Is that right?
Yes, sir. My career in the space. Well, that's how long we've had. Now, I started, Secret Sushi ago. I've been in it a little bit longer, but the company is now legal. It is an adult, so yeah, 18 plus years.
So you are also somebody that measures agency life in human years. Yes, you are now of age.
You got to get past the terrible twos and then the teenage years, and now it's into adulthood, right? That's exactly what happens the day you turn 18. Is you become a responsible adult.
Yeah, now it's all you. You're not you got to pay rent.
Yeah, exactly. Or get out.
Yeah. So what? So I have not had the pleasure of being in agency world for 18 years. I'm about half that. I'm like an annoying 10-year-old that thinks he knows things. What were some of the major trends? Like, just give us like a brief historical synopsis, because I'm mainly interested in what you're doing today, and I know there's a lot of trends that you've picked up on and we can talk about. But like, summarize the last 20 years of marketing world. What's happened?
I mean, it's really experiencing the emergence and then I don't know, in some cases, maturity of all kinds of digital stuff that's happened. Right when I started digital, like just when I was going to school, it was called new media design, and new media made it sound really really fancy, which was just basically anything that was on a screen. And so you've been able to go from just anything that was digital, obviously internet, then there's mobile, there's apps related to mobile, there's the social local mobile marketing and advertising. There's just obviously the big boom of social media. Like all of these things have happened through the career, and seeing people go from like, is this a flash in the pan, to ultimately wide adoption and the proliferation of like all the channels of attention that now you've got to reach folks in over the course of all of this. This is all what's happened, right? Even just remember the time where we, oh, okay, we could use responsive design now to make better website presences
I was
for.
there. I was around for that. I did that some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I just remember like seeing somebody I remember being at a word camp, because WordPress, there's a whole community, and then they have word camp. San Francisco happens to be a really big place for word camp, even though they have them all over the US. And I just remember seeing somebody demonstrate a responsive website on the screen, and I went, oh, we got to get on this like really really quick, right? And ended up being a big thing for that year for us and our team. So I've been seeing all those things suddenly emerge and become mainstream. Most of them become embedded in what we do, and that's kind of leads to where we are, right now.
Yeah, well, for historical context, I showed up on the scene when people were arguing that inbound marketing and content marketing and marketing were different things. And I was like, I can't participate in this conversation anymore. I don't. I think it's just. I think we're talking about marketing. I guess that's my question for you. Like, I've witnessed the flashy things. Like, it's like agencies are caught between needing to differentiate, where there's a flashy thing, and I really want to combine three root words into something that makes no sense. And then, like, there are some fundamentals to understanding buyers and attracting them. So, I guess what over the years, what have been like the core things that have been success or failure, regardless of the word of the day?
Three things come to mind that are related and also can be looked at separately. So one is attention. Like regardless, where's the attention? Where's your audience's attention? Where is the
Fair.
attention of your customers? End of story. So because of all the channels that have popped up, where is their attention? There's only 24 hours a day for people to spend that attention. So where is it, and how can you be there? How can your message be there? How can you engage with them as human beings there? And then I pay attention to sort of two things in addition to that, which is expectations and behaviors. So what I mean by that is things happen in the market, or things happen in the world, things happen in technology that change what people expect from products and services and businesses. And then ultimately that changes their behavior. And then when their behavior changes, so for instance, we talked about the mobile websites. Well, when an iPhone comes out and an iPhone becomes super popular and it becomes a way that people want to access information, and your website isn't ready for that format, that becomes an expectation based on a new behavior that you are not actually solving for in your business. You're missing it. You're missing an opportunity. So people are
I
not able to.
expect to be able to read your stuff on my phone when I click on it.
Absolutely. And that's happened with customer service. That's happened with people accessing information. That's happened with, the sales processes for things like, so anything that seems to be shifting people's behaviors and expectations, I try to pay attention to understand how businesses are going to have to adapt over time, or immediately to address that. And that's, I think, what folks are really slow to do is they look at it and they go, oh, I don't want to do X, Y, and Z because it's too much time, it's too much money, or whatever, and they get left behind. Not because they don't have a good product or service, but because they are not presenting themselves, in the right way for customers who have now had certain expectations about how they're going to engage with folks. And right now, that's now turned into like AI, right? So people now are utilizing ChatGPT or Perplexity or something else in order to get answers to things, which is dramatically changing the expectation of how they find information. Even though these LLMs that are in the search products still have a lot to be desired and still are not a completely reliable tool, and are giving very kind of mixed results. They're extremely useful, but people's expectations are they go someplace, they enter in a question or something like in Google, and that they get an answer. And now they feel like they're getting the exact same level of answer, if not better, through these other tools. And it's changing the game for marketing. How many people are going to end up going to a website now, for instance, and expecting to go, oh, I got to read through this like it's a brochure. I've got to like go through page by page by page, versus going to your website and typing in a question and having some dynamic element tell it what the information is about a page on your website, and point you in the direction, right? So things are changing right now.
Uh, this is a personal thing, but I just realized that like I have a negative relationship with AI. I'm not like a big fan of it as like I think it's something that's gonna take over. But I trust it. Like it will. I trust it as having less bias than me going to someone's website and reading something that I know was engineered by a recent college grad in a dark room when somebody told them to write marketing copy on the website. So I just realized I have that weird. It's like when you're reading reviews of like Spirit Airlines and somebody gives it 5 stars. You're just like, there's no way. It can't be. They're like, oh, it was a perfect experience. You're like, you are a robot or someone paid you to do this. So that's where I think I'm at. But anyway, so you're talking about major, like the key over the last 20 years is to identify these major things that cause a shift in expectations and behaviors. How have you handled that from a services standpoint? Because there's a couple ways to go about it. You can jump on the bandwagon and be that, in my case, the inbound marketing agency. You could take a consulting posture and say, yeah, there's always going to be new stuff. And our role is to help you make more informed decisions about these things. What's been your approach?
For me, it's always about trying to avoid commoditizing, like being a commodity. So I think as soon as I think it goes from two ends.
I would like
It's
your cheaper version of the thing that I can get from anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
How
from a pricing standpoint, it's a race to zero eventually, right? So, my background initially in the creative field, design, I was going to school and I was learning about all these beautiful projects and things in history of graphic design, and seeing how much somebody was charging for a logo, or how much, folks were a whole new brand. Like right now, we're recording this right after OpenAI just did this whole video about how they rebranded themselves and created a font and all that. And I can appreciate what's in the video because it looks really simple, and some of it sometimes surprises me how much people are willing to spend, but most folks are not. Like, I just remember seeing how, when I learned about the history and how much people were willing to invest, and then over time, because of the internet, because of digital tools, that stuff was all just becoming extremely cheap. People were just going and outsourcing it someplace, or people didn't care about a logo, so they were going to Kinko's and getting clip art and throwing it onto a card. And I realized there's a sweet spot of folks that really will appreciate this, and there's like going to be a wide variety of people that feel that they don't need it, they underappreciate it, they got a cheaper way of getting access to design, or to a good logo mark or something. And so I don't want to ever race towards the cheapest. So I'm always looking at, well, how can I differentiate, or how do I move off of something that's absolutely just commoditized for the time being? So that's one thing. And then the other is, as the new stuff pops up, it always interests me how people see something like, I don't know, I don't even remember what the name of it is these days, but the social audio platform that really exploded in the pandemic, and people were just absolutely getting behind it, and people were like putting their name on it.
Yeah, I totally skipped that. I heard about it and I was like, nah.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was a lot of things that I thought were wrong, and that I thought, okay, this could be interesting, but this isn't unlike a lot of other tools that are out there. It's just kind of marketed in a little bit of a different way. And it happens to be during a pandemic when a lot of people are sitting at home working.
Attention. The availability of attention grew.
Yeah, exactly. There was a surplus of attention, or at least
Yeah.
a surplus of people who were not being looked at by their bosses at work while they were doing this stuff. And I'll pay attention to that stuff, but unless it absolutely is glaringly showing me that this is something that needs to be paid attention to, I'll usually wait it out a little bit. So if it's something that naturally plugs into behaviors, expectations, and attention that already exists into other places. So for instance, live streaming on LinkedIn. Well, you have a LinkedIn audience, so there's obviously people there. There's stuff that happens on LinkedIn. Now you're building on top of an actual extended, like a network that already exists. But some of these other ones, you're trying to build your audience completely on that anew, so to speak. And you need to be careful, because you do need to test, you need to play around, you need to be curious. I mean, that's what marketing needs to be by nature.
You need to be really good at knowing the things that take years and the things that take weeks.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me anyway. Like, it's just me doing all the stuff. I'm like, oh, whew, if I get into that, that's going to be years of building, that audience. But there's things that you can test in weeks. Hey, if I talk about this thing, if I use this new format, I can do it for 2 weeks and see what's up. So we're in the month of, geez, it's February. For those of you out there wondering what's going on, it's February of the 25. What are you putting your chips? Are you a roulette guy? Are you red player?
No, no, no.
Where are you moving
Yeah.
your chips is my question. What are you banking on in terms of like the thing where you can stand out that's not too commoditized, that's not gonna disappear with the wind.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. AI, right? I mean, AI sounds like something everybody would say, but I would say that in all the trends that I see, I think AI, honestly, in my lifetime, not that I'm dying tomorrow, but I do think that it's the most impactful thing that I've going to have experienced in the last 20, 25 years across the board, and it's going to be very impactful, and it is the force multiplier, and depending on how you use it. And I think when you marry that with still how do you remain human? How do you make sure you bring your experience? Like for us, we've got decades of experience doing strategy and institutional knowledge, working with clients. Like there's a lot of stuff there that can't be completely replaced by AI, at least anytime soon that it can't.
In that, I mean, you're building intuition is the way I translate that. Like, everyone's got the same access to knowledge. That's what AI's done. But
Yes.
that wisdom is that human element of like, yeah, you can give me those 30 recommendations, but someone's got to translate that into what can reasonably be done today based on these human beings that I'm working with. I think there's a lot of elements where that experience is going to still be the remaining factor.
Well, and also AI doesn't technically know what good looks like. So even if you fed it a bunch of
They
a
know what
bunch
Adam
of
said what it looks like.
yeah, yeah, or I mean, I'm the one that knows what it looks like in a lot of AI is being trained on knowledge that's put into pixels, it's put into bytes and bits, and a lot of what we do is not in those bytes and bits. So we are the ones that get to see. We're the curators, of the tastemakers, the ones that get to decide what's good and what's not good from those outputs, and so we still going to have to do that. We're still going to have to bring our institutional knowledge to the table and look at this and go, yeah, this isn't right, or it isn't going to work. Thanks for the 10,000 suggestions you gave me, but this isn't actually going to work in that way. But it is good inspiration and something to jump off of. So that is going to be an important differentiator for a long, long time. And in general, humans are not. They're going to know when they get phone calls. They're going to know when they chat with something on the internet that it's a bot. And there is going to be certain circumstances when that's okay for folks, but there's going to be a lot of circumstances where they still want to actually be engaging with a human, or at least understanding from an authenticity standpoint that they're engaging with a human.
Yeah.
And you're going to need to be human. The AI still needs to have that really human touch
Yeah.
associated with it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a part of all conversations, no matter what. I'll give you that one. Maybe I'm biased, but over the last 10 years since I exited agency world formally, the last time I had a real employee, um, 10 years ago, I've seen what a lot of the big consultancies are now reporting on. They go out and they talk to CMOs about what they're spending on and what keeps them up at night. And they're basically saying we bought too much technology because we've all been force-fed technology over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And even though everyone says it, we still can't measure what's working. Like we got all this data, and I have my theories about it. Like I think marketers have been on, you know, marginalized island out there in the corner, and they're not getting. I mean, they're not getting the adult information from sales or product to connect the dots. But that's the problem. And I saw recently that you're doing something about it. I think there's a new service that you're launching Tell me about that because I think you're headed in the right direction based on what everyone's complaining about.
Yeah. So our new service is predictable performance. It's a marriage of technology and, again, like I just mentioned, the human beings here and the institutional knowledge that you can tap into at the company here at Secret Sushi. It is helping folks get the right data at the right time, and then marrying that with the ability to take action and optimize your marketing over time based on having that intelligence. So, and it does have some elements of AI related to it as well, which is incredible. So being able to have access to real time information, having access to the right information, and then also having proactive alerts and notifications and things that you need to pay attention to as they happen, so that you don't have to always be kind of leaning forward and, oh, I got to check this, I got to check this. Is you should obviously have a regular cadence for doing so, but when something really hits the fan or there's something you really need to pay attention to, you can get notified from it, and then being able to on a regular basis tap into a team like us to say, great, well, we want to head in this particular direction, and I can see that here and here and here. This is the performance that we're seeing. Here's how we recommend that you tackle it based on our understanding of your business, as well as, again, the market, what's going on in the market, and our institutional knowledge over the course of, over 20 years for me and 18 years with the agency. So we're marrying that together, and offering that as something where, even if you are working with another agency or have a big inside team or whatever, this helps you both from the measurement standpoint, and then gives you access to an outside team or an outside perspective that can come in and actually help you adjust and optimize accordingly.
What this is just a curiosity for me. What has been the failure in the last 10 years with these dashboards? And because any tool you provide, there's a dashboard, there's lines and there's numbers, and everybody's saying, oh, this is going to show you the return on your investment and these sorts of things. And yet the research is coming out and the CMOs have no idea what's going on, let alone like this attribution, thing that everyone's talking about. It just doesn't, there's a failure, and it's either a failure in people don't have the right data, or they have the right information, but something's broken organizationally, culturally, that it's not making its way to the decision maker table. Your opinion, where has the failure been?
So it's the right information, right? Because the information, the data that you need to look at, the metrics you need to look at, end up being spread across all kinds of systems, and those systems
everyone's pushing their own little tools, and now you got 50 things that don't talk to each other.
Yeah, and just think about something like Google Analytics. Google Analytics has so many data points, so much data, and even now with G4, it's capturing everything automatically. So it's just a flood in a stream of data. And so if you don't know what data is most important versus least important, you're just waiting in all of that, which is like paralysis analysis paralysis. That's the way to say it. I always say it the wrong way. And then and so that's just one example. So understanding what is most important to the outcomes that you're looking for, and putting them all into one place, and having those as fresh and new as possible, right? As soon as you end up pushing out a report, that report is old. If you send a report to somebody and they get in their email tomorrow, that report is now 24 hours old. And it's great that they get it. It's a good snapshot. But being able to have access to as close to real-time data all in one place as possible is A1. And then being able to wrap meaning around that. So what that this looks this way and that looks that way? What's the meaning behind it? What's the context behind it? And so I think at the moment, folks end up waiting in all that data, and then they just sort of go down the rabbit hole, and I won't say give up, but they it's definitely shiny object syndrome, instead of focusing on what matters.
The entire goal was to have the data. They didn't think past that to like, okay, what business decisions will this inform? I think you had the best, like, I'll give you a correct. I'll give you a circle gets the square, I think, on the challenge, because people have invested in so much technology. They've been like just reveling, just celebrating in the amount of data that they have. When at the end of the day, it's like there is an answer to some of the what are the most important metrics? What are the most important decisions that you have to make? Let's get really focused on getting that information, make sure it's correct, um, and know like, hey, is it on a quarterly basis that we're going to use this to make like a budget decision? Is it on an annual basis? Who's going to be a part of that decision? Yeah, I think it's an addition by subtraction next half of the decade, and all of that is consultative work. I think that's the sort of strategic partnerships that agencies long for, and then they get marginalized when they, end up uh, implementing yesterday's technology for companies.
And just think about this: if you do this part correctly, and you were alluding to it a little bit as well as part of the. Oftentimes, it's not just like let's install Google Analytics or let's install any of these other systems or let's just get these
Yeah, and
reports.
celebrate because now we have more pictures for management.
Yeah, it's taking one step back and saying, what is our approach to measurement and why are we measuring this stuff? And after you define those, then that helps you prioritize what it is that you are measuring. And all the data is there still, so you can always go and dig deeper if you want. We can double click one level deeper, but now you're measuring it. But if you just pay attention to that stuff on a regular basis and you get the right data in front of the right person in the right format at the right time, and pay attention to it, and take action on it, right? So find meaning of it and take action on it on a regular cadence. Any investment you put into that, any time that it initially takes, is going to come back tenfold. And what's the impact on somebody's business if they could end up incrementally course correcting over time?
It's hard to quantify because it's like an integral part of. It's like saying what's the business case for making good decisions. It's like I don't 100%. Life and death, I guess. I guess that's the
100%. And you can't make you make good decisions based on the information you have. Like we say that internally. Sometimes we really truly only have this much information and we do our best with that information and we kind of got to give ourselves credit for at least just moving forward. But when you have access to all this other information, the more information you get, you make exponentially better business decisions.
Well, cheers to that. Yeah, welcome to Beers with Max. For those of you listening, I see you out there. If you're binging on Beers with Max, don't operate any heavy machinery, please, and tip your waitress. I'll see you next time.